Morning Combat back at it, extra time, going deep on the interviews with the biggest names, and a big one is going to make his Bellator debut this Thursday. The card is 251, 7 p.m. Eastern on the CBS Sports Network. Let's chat with Corey Anderson, one of the best light heavyweights in this world. Corey, I'm fired up for this, okay? Not just because when you're going to fight Melvin Manhoef, it's going to be bombs away, okay? You got to tuck that chin when you're fighting a guy like that. But you did something people don't do. You got out of an active UFC deal with fights left to sign with the promotion you wanted. Talk to me about this transition and journey.
I mean, it was after the last loss and the stuff I had going on in life. I had to sit back and just talk with my family and figure out if we was going to continue to do this and what needs to change. And one was the way I fight, and the other was we need to start getting paid our worth. And pretty much simple as that. Bellator made an offer, and it was like, that's our worth. And we got out of there. Well, it was after I talked to UFC trying to get more. They wouldn't do it. So I was like, all right, give us our release. So we got the release, or whatever it was, however that happened. We got the release, and then we just started playing the field. But it didn't play the field long. It was probably like 2 hours, and first offer came through was Bellator, and we jumped on it. A lot of people were like, yo, play that free agent game and see what happens. But then when I told them the numbers that came, like these people like Eddie Alvarez is making killing, over his career. And like, bro, you getting that money, go. And I went.
Hey, you got to put yourself and your family first, so I can appreciate that. When you look back at the UFC, is there hard feelings that they didn't fight harder for you, or are you just pleased that they let you go the direction you wanted to?
I mean, it's business. I'm happy that it went as smooth as it did. That's the only feeling I have. The only feeling I have to any of them, no bad blood, no animosity, no way of feeling about this. I don't think this different than anybody. The same thought I have for everybody as I have now. It's just I'm just happy that it was such a smooth transition. When I say it was smooth, it couldn't have been smoother. It was literally the word release came. My manager said, okay. He called me. I was like, let's do it. And like 30 minutes later, the process was done. Smooth, no lawsuits, no bickering, no arguing. We was able to do whatever we wanted to do.
Well, savor the flavor on that. Great to hear. You mentioned something in there. Now, look, you enter Bellator on a really nice streak, 4-1 in your last 5. You've got some big time wins there, but you talked about changing as a fighter at the beginning of that. What did you need to change? What can we expect differently from you?
I mean, one thing I had to change is don't go into worrying about what other people are good at. As for you see a fighter, they go out there and they do what they're good at. As for I was studying film I always study film to see what someone does bad and what I can capitalize on. At the same time, I was picking up on what they're good at. Like, okay, he's a good striker, he's a good kickboxer. So I need to be able to go out there and strike and throw kicks and stuff back and forth with him. As for if I was a smart mixed martial artist with a great fight IQ, is we're going to go out there and do everything we can to make sure he doesn't land those kicks on you. We do everything he can to where if he throws a kick, you're a wrestler. You're able to take him down. You can avoid those punches and make him miss. And when he misses, he gets tired. And we all know you don't get tired. So we can keep moving. And it was just the fact that I had to reassess myself, all the game plans I've had over my 19 professional fights, and realize in all those fights, what was it that Corey did great? Not what he did good. What did he do that he did great? Now, how can we take that and make it where he just is a great martial artist all around? From the first bell to the last bell, what do we have to do mentally and physically to change things up? And that's just what it was. It's just we realized what we did good, and it's like, all right, well, we're gonna focus on that. When we study film, is just to see where we can find opportunities to do those good things. Not watch out for his right hand. Oh, I gotta worry about keeping my hands this, and I gotta throw my right punch to make him throw that. It's no. We're gonna do what do you do and how do you set it up? All right, watch this film and figure out how do I make him give me an opening to do what I'm good at. And that's just what it was. And stop worrying about what they do and time to start worrying about what overtime does. And that's dominate. And how can we dominate everybody in the Bellator division?
Well, I love the introspection. I love the idea that it's like a new Corey Anderson, new deal, new promotion, new opportunity here. But you put out on Instagram a couple months back that the beginning of 2020 was rough for you, coming off of that loss to Jan Blachowicz. You had a fall, you had heart issues that you're in the hospital for a while. You didn't know if your fighting career was going to roll on. I know you've been cleared since then, But how much did that journey emotionally, with the fear of losing your career that you put so much into, how much did that build into this sort of change you're going through as a person and a fighter?
I mean, the fear of losing a career was never there. Like when I first started fighting, I never wanted to be a mixed martial artist. I just happened to be good at it, and the opportunity came. I tried it. It was like, well, if I'm winning, I can get paid, and I'm making this kind of money doing this compared to working. I might as well ride it till the wheels fall off. And like I said, we got to the opportunity. I remember the first day coming home from the hospital, sitting in the nursery with my wife. I was putting the son down. I told her, like, like if they say we can't fight again, we never get cleared, this is it, right? So yeah, I know, like, I'm okay with that. Like, if we got to go back to work, we got the money saved to get or whatever we want to do. If it's time to do anything in the working world, that's a possibility, and I'm ready. Like, I know whatever you're down for, I'm down for. Like, all right, as long as we know. And even after they cleared us, we sat down and talked. Like, should we go back? Like, is it worth it with the health and everything we just went through? Is it worth putting us through that again? And so, if anything, it helped changes, made me stop and realize, like I said, my self worth. It made me realize the things I need to change and do different in this sport. Changing my attitude. I felt that was a big part of going into that last fight, and one of the reasons why I lost. I think for sure, I know for sure my attitude going in was just, my manager even had called me at one point and said, you just seem different than the Corey when I met you. You're starting to seem like the people that the UFC wants you to be, and that's not you. You're a humble young man. You started not to act like that. And I feel like I lost that, the whole perspective that I've always had. Like I said, I've always stepped in the cage. My mindset's always been, I never want to fight to physically do serious damage to my opponent. I want to fight to win and get my check and get out of there in the best way possible. In the last few fights, I know the last fight especially, I went in there with the mindset, I'm going out here to kill this guy. I want to hurt this dude as much as I can. I don't want him to ever think about my name, blah, blah, blah. And I feel that's why the Lord made what happened to me happen, to make me sit back and realize you going about this thing the whole wrong way. This is not who you are.
That's humbling. That's humbling stuff right there, Corey. I can respect that because you talked about like you weren't being yourself for a while. You had that fun incident. I say fun because it felt like pro wrestling to me in a way, where you showed up where Jon Jones was in New Jersey at like a card show or something, and you kind of came at him. Looking back, do you regret that?
In a way, I don't regret it. I don't regret going there, because the reason why I went there was just to let them be known. Like, it's still the same way for Nemkov now. It's like, I want you to know I'm paying attention to everything you do. I'm studying you. I'm ready for when that opportunity comes. Don't look past me, because I'm watching every move you make. And that's what it was. I wanted my presence to be known. I literally trained at the gym next door to the place he came and did his meet and greet. And they had a big old sign out in front. And the day before, or we had planned this a while ago, me and a couple of teammates. But the day before, like, yo, we still going, right? Like, yeah. Like, we just gonna make our presence known. Presence known. But I would have did it different, as the fact I wouldn't have brought as many people as I did, and the attention we brought. And we kind of like interrupted his whole meet and greet and had a whole commotion in there. And as for me, that's not who I am. I'm not that kind of person.
But I loved it. It was like Clubber Lang in Rocky 3, man. You were like, put the attention on me. Come. Hey, Mrs. Balboa, come and be with a real man. I was waiting for that to come out of you.
Exactly. And that's the thing, but that's not who I am. If anything, I should have went there towards the end of it instead of like smack dab in the middle when I knew it was going to be the most crowded. And then, I don't know what I would have did different. But the whole aspect, and then, like I said, curse words were thrown. It was kids there. Middle fingers were in the air from every side. It was not who I am and what I like to present to the youth. That's the thing I look back at. If a youth sees that video, or the kid remembers that when he grows up, they go, I was there at a time when Corey Anderson was cursing this and this. That's not who I want to be presented as. I want to be presented as the person that kids can look up to and be like, a parent say, you see that young man? That's what I want you to grow up to be like. I want you to be a champion. I want you to have a mindset like him. Carry yourself professionally. Have your pants on your waist, have a belt on, show up on time, things like that. Not, don't be like that guy showing up in public and cursing and throwing up middle fingers in front of all these people. That was rude. You shouldn't do that. So that's the aspect of I say is I would have did it different.
I can respect that, and I appreciate the introspection, like I mentioned, to be able to see all that and articulate that. When you sign with Bellator, when you take stock of the light heavyweight division, and not soon after when you signed, light heavyweight champ Ryan Bader went in there with Vadim Nemkov, the rising stud, and he got stopped. There was a big statement, a changing of the guard. Nemkov's now the guy on top. Where do you think you fit into this division?
I mean, I fit in right in where I do anywhere. Like I know I'm one of the best in the world. I know anybody you put in the gym with me, you can ask Daniel Cormier himself. And I went out and helped him his last fight. And he said, like, bro, there's no reason why you shouldn't be the world champ wherever you go. Like you're just good all around. You can do just about anything. And when you put your mind to it and actually focus on it, you do it. But the problem is you get into your fights and you're not patient enough and you just make mistakes. So I feel like I fit right up there in the title picture. But do I deserve the title right away? No, I might not get it. It might take 2 or 3 fights, but I know when I get there, there's not going to be any sweat on my forehead. You know, I'm going to go in there smooth, comfortable, collected, like I've been there before, and do what I'm here to do: dominate and take over the division.
Well, you face the best in the world. So when you look at Nemkov, a lot of hype. Is the stake real? Is it, or is it sizzle? Are you impressed with what you see and what he's been able to do?
No, I'm impressed with the kid. The kid is good. I watched his fight with Liam McGeary. That was the first time I seen him because Liam McGeary was a teammate of mine. We trained together in New York, and I don't think he was with us during that fight. He had already went back to Australia, whatever. But I was watching, and the way he was stopping Liam with those kicks and chopping his leg down. I know Liam is very long, and he's good at stepping in on the kick and catching you with a long cross or whatever. But the fact that Nemkov was doing that with the kicks and then putting it together and the chain wrestling and stuff, it's like, wow, this kid is pretty good. Then I saw the highlight of Phil Davis. I saw he took Phil Davis down. And I knew Phil was pretty good at wrestling. Like, wow, this kid's pretty good at wrestling too. He's actually legit. And then I watched him against Bader, and I remember talking to Liam and a few other people. They're like, I think Bader might get it because of this and this, because they all have fought Bader or Nemkov, whatever it was. And to see what he did, I was like, yo, this kid is legit. And like I said in the tweet after he won, I got some Dagestanians and Russians that come help us on our team that's about his size that fight the same way, but they're not even at the big level yet. So I know those guys are just good over there, but I'm be prepared for it regardless when the time comes.
Absolutely. All right. You're going to make your Bellator debut Thursday night, as we mentioned, 7 Eastern, CBS Sports Network, Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. When you get the name Melvin Manhoef, what are you thinking? And I asked that because of this. I was like half the people on Twitter when that fight got announced. I go, oh, Styles make fights, wrestler, banger. This will be a great introduction. Other people are going, man, Manhoef's got gray hair at this point. What was your reaction when you get that?
My reaction was, all right, let's start studying film and see what we got to do. It really didn't matter who they gave me. If they gave me a young kid or a new guy or one of the champ, like I said, they gave me Nemkov, whatever it was, I was prepared. And to be honest, like I think one thing that does me great in this sport is I didn't watch it growing up, so I don't know a lot of the names. I come across them. Like Glover, I didn't get to know who he was until I was fighting in the UFC. And then when I fought him, there was like no tension. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm fighting Glover Teixeira, who fought Jon Jones for the belt. I didn't realize that until I was studying film. So when them call or when not them call Melvin Manhoef's name came, my man's like, oh, what you think about him? I was like, who is he? Yeah, like what do you mean? I was like, I don't know who he is. He's like kickboxing legend. And people like, yo, he wear the dog chain and the gladiator shirt. I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing highlights of that guy. But for the fact of like, oh man, you grew up and you watch somebody like that, not his last fight, but the fight before, the kid like, oh, I watched him growing up. He's like a hero to mine. Just to be in there is an honor. As for me, it's like going in there is just another opponent. I didn't know him growing up. I knew nothing about him. I didn't get to know him until I started studying this film. And now I see now that he's dangerous. But growing up, it wasn't like he never had that legendary impact on my mind. Not taking away the fact that he is a legend of sport. Now that I've studied and see who he's fought. But other than that, first impression I was like, who is this guy? But now that I've studied, I know, okay, this guy is a banger. This guy throws hard. Everything he throws is with bad intentions. He can put your lights out if he touch you in the back of the head, the front of the head, your nose, your hairline, whatever it is. If he hits you right, you can go out. And his leg kicks spin people, drop people. So the mindset was we just got to make sure we do everything we can to make sure he can't land those shots.
Love it, love it. When you look at the Bellator roster, when you got the offer from them, and you're looking, okay, who's out there? Who am I going to fight? I know you want Nemkov, you want the belt, you want to prove you're the best. You got to get through Manhoef first. All respect to all of that. But are there any names that jumped out? You know, whether it's I don't know, Machida, Musasi, Fedor, for all I know, that where you're like, if the time's right and it makes sense, I'd love to fight that guy.
Only thing that came was Ryan Bader because he had the title at the time. That was when it came Bellator. I signed that paper at the top and said Bellator MMA. my contract, pretty much my welcoming. Only thing that came to mind was Bader's got the title. I've trained with him twice. I know what he does. He knows what I do. So we got to make sure if we line up for the fight, I do what I do, Bader, and he does what he does. And that was it. And after that, when the names started coming of possible fights, then it was kind of like we go through YouTube or the Bellator YouTube channel and find them and study them. But other than that, it was just mostly when it first happened, just to get to the belt.
All right. All right. I love that. Can anyone wrestle on your level in the Bellator 205-pound division?
Don't think so. You know, I proved in the UFC. There's a reason why I still hold the record in the UFC for most takedowns at 205 and the most takedowns in the fight at 205 against a guy who had the former record at 11. And I took him down 12 or 13 times in the midst of a fight. You know, like I said, wrestling is my thing. I wrestled with college guys to this day. I go to the NJRTCs where all the world team guys that's from New Jersey or East Coast area train and wrestle with those guys live weekly. You know, I go to the D1 college and wrestle with those guys hard through practice weekly. As for most guys, just do MMA practice wrestling and whatnot. But the one thing I would make sure of is my wrestling is never rusty. And I'm beating these D1 starter kids like I'm still in college competing. And I'm still going at it with these Olympic guys like I was still trying to make the Olympic lineup. So as for what that's going to bring or wrestling to bring in the MMA, I don't see anyone out there at that level. Somebody might take me down. You might catch me in slipping or lacking, or you might get me down, but completely, I know I'm going to take you down more. I'm going to stop more shots of yours, and you're going to stop of mine.
I don't know how close you've been following it since you left the UFC, but the division you left has gone through upheaval. Jon Jones gives up the belt. Jan Blachowicz, the guy you just fought, wins it. Now Dana White's saying Israel Adesanya is going to move up and fight Blachowicz. Does this interest you at all? Are you interested to see how it plays out, or is it all behind you now?
One thing I see from that is I'm 1-1 with the champ, and other than that is I left for the right reason because it's a lot of other guys in the 205 division right now that could be fighting for that belt. But the fact that they're going to put the 185er or have any fights at 205 to fight for the title is about making money. They're not in it for who's the best mixed martial artist. They're in it for what's going to make us the most money. As for I feel Bellator is who is the best fighter in that weight class. You know, they just had Musasi and Lima fight, but that was for the interim belt, and both of those guys are the champ. And they were, or Musasi was a champ, but he lost to the former champ. And Lima has beat the who's who and everybody already. And there's really nobody else at 85. You know, the 85 division in Bellator, there hasn't been anybody solidify like, oh, I deserve the next title shot yet. But as for 170, there is. You got Michael Venom Page, you got Lorenz Larkin, you got all these different guys at 70, but at 85, it's kind of like you got Musasi. And it's like, okay, where else? Who else? Who else is dominating? Nobody. So Lima was like, okay, let's give Lima a shot. But you go to 205, Jan just beat Dominic Reyes. You got the Yuri kid, you got Glover Teixeira, you got Murata, and those guys going to fight this weekend. So why would you book a title fight against the 85er to fight for the 205 belt when you got two guys fighting for title contention this week? So you make the date a day ago or 4 days before the title contention fight. So now these guys are going to fight, and then where do they go? They got to wait until Jan and Izzy fight. And I guarantee you, if Jan loses, he gets a rematch. So they got to wait, and they got to go fight Yuri or Vulcan or somebody way down the list. And if they lose, you're like me. You push all the way back to the line, and they're going to have to start over, and they get frustrated. And that was kind of like, I'm going to go somewhere where I get my worth, and it's not so much of a politic game. You win, you move up.
I love it. I love it. Looking forward to seeing your debut Thursday night, 7 Eastern, CBS Sports Network, when you take on the hard-hitting legend, Melvin Manhoef. Corey Anderson, it's been a pleasure, sir. Wish you the best of luck on this new change.
Thank you, sir.